because we're spotlighting us. All right, we should be back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We should be back.
We always said, so what happens if my internet goes down?
We just figure out solutions.
And that's what we did, though.
We figure out some solutions. And man.
So a lot's happened since our internet went down. And things are continuing to look like we might not have a winner tonight.
No, I don't think we're having a winner tonight.
Because if things really do come down to those three Rust Belt 3 states, and then it's going to take a long time for those ballots to get counted. Maybe they do. Maybe Michigan is counting ballots faster than we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. If you're President Trump right now, you're feeling very good.
Yes.
If you are Joe Biden, you're a little worried.
Yes.
And you're hoping that the polling holds up more than the polling did in 2016. I think is going to be the big thing. And there's still a very good chance. I mean, you're winning the races that you need to win. But
there has not been any of those toss-up states that have gone to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Nor have any of those toss-up states starting to look like they're trending towards Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's
which is very good signs for President Trump.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a way for President Trump to pull this out, then that is what's happening now.
Yeah.
President Trump is right now in the middle of starting to look like he might be able to catch that inside straight that he didn't need. Yeah. So as we continue to get our internet back up and running, the night is going to continue to come down to everything that we have been saying this entire time. It's going to continue to come down to those core states in the Rust Belt, and throw Ohio in there too. Throw Ohio in there as another state that we really don't know what's going to happen with Ohio.
So I think what we should do is honestly, since we can't really trust the internet right now.
I'm back up and running for it.
Okay, you're back up and running. I think we got to give some final thoughts. We got 20 minutes left. Some final thoughts on where we think things are going.
Sure.
So kind of piggyback on what that conversation we had before. We don't know exactly when the stream really realistically cut off. So right now I'm looking at watching PBS. So on TV it says Biden's 131. You crashed. Okay, so Biden's at 131. All right, Trump's at 108. Again, it's going to be Ohio and Michigan. Who wins those three?
Over and over again.
Over and over.
And again, it's not like no state in the South that is a toss-up state has been called for President Trump either. It's just starting to
where the votes coming from
lean that way.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I was in the middle of when my internet went down is that when you look at the Washington Post, which is one of the sites that we had used over and over again, and when it looks at county by county, only 20% of Wake County's in yet.
Yeah.
And that's a huge number that would tilt this election one way or another. I also saw something that had 0% in for Johnston County.
That's interesting.
It was interesting. And that's what I was starting to do a deep dive on. And apparently the internet did not want me to do said
internet
deep
said,
dive.
no, you're not allowed to do this.
But we're at least we're back up and running and talking to you guys. So what's going to be a very interesting night. Maybe we're spending a few more hours on this porch together than we thought we were going to. Just not on the live stream. So a couple things to be looking at. You've got to keep your eyes there. Let's kind of circle back to the Senate as well, though.
Okay.
Because I think that we're starting to try to see what kind of results we're going to be getting out of some of these key battleground states. And so when you look at the Senate, there still has not been anything major that's called. Just to kind of give you the background, Democrats do need to pick up 3 seats in the Senate. 4 once you include Alabama, which has already gone. Doug Jones has lost his seat in Alabama to the former Auburn head football coach, Tommy Tuberville. Had an undefeated season back in 20.
That's interesting.
Yes, it was. That was back in the BCS era, though. Now,
before their time, really.
Shocking to me.
Really, these kids don't really remember the BCS era. No, I mean, so the Senate race, I mean, even looking at the Cal Cunningham, Tom Tillis, that is going to go into the night. And we're going to talk about that. There is going to be multiple. That's going to take, that's why we're going to figure that out next morning. It's going to be a big thing.
Is because when you start to look at like how much of the ballot has come in. So now that I've kind of got a little bit on my phone here, we're going to kind of go through a few of the key states. Do you know how to bring up a map up there as well? So you're just going to go through the share screen, kind of just like in Google Meet. And then you just, once you pick a tab,
I'm going pretty slow here. So like
internet is going slow.
We're going slow here.
Yeah.
It's moving at snail pace.
Yes.
So we may be.
When I tested this afternoon though, cruising.
Well, we have multiple computers on.
It's not. I don't think it's just that we have multiple computers. I think Dana hit the nail on the head when she came out here.
Everybody in their
system from the internet right now, and everybody's using 4 different devices right now.
Yeah, I think.
So when you go through and you look at it though, Florida does have 93% of its vote in, and that's why they're feeling so confident that that's leaning towards Trump, as he has a 3.5 point lead. But as you go to Georgia, again, huge lead for President Trump with 57% of the vote in.
But that's still 57%. So a lot can happen.
A lot can happen. North Carolina, again, not because we're biased, but will continue to be one of the more interesting states, has 92% of the vote in statewide. And it's a very, very tight race with only a 1 point margin for President Trump.
Now, here's the thing. You just made mention that in Wake County, only 40% of the vote.
Correct.
So we're saying that majority of the vote of North Carolina that's not in is from Wake County.
Yes.
So there is still time. That's that movement where you sort of have to look at different numbers where they're saying, yes, our total state is this. But when we actually go back down to the county level, a good portion of Wake County is still not in.
Yes.
Which that's that conversation that Joe Biden's camp they're having. They're like, don't worry about North Carolina. Wake County could boost us there. The same time as they're having that reverse conversation down in Florida, where they're saying we have to be worried about Florida now because there's no place to get those votes. There isn't that county that we're going to overcome because it's not only just you have to make up the votes and get break even. Now you have to overcome it by 100,000 or X amount of votes there, and he just didn't do that in Florida. He didn't do that in Georgia. He didn't do that in Texas.
Correct. But when you start to look at all the states kind of collectively, you and I both love to go through and look at the nitty-gritty details of all these different things.
Yep.
But when you go through and look collectively at all these states, President Trump does have a lead, and in some states a substantial lead right now in all these states, except for Iowa. Joe Biden does have the lead in Iowa.
So breaking news right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. Georgia has officially they're going to stop counting mail-in votes tonight. They've stopped counting it. They're going to pick them up tomorrow.
Okay.
So Georgia's not going to get called tonight.
Okay.
And so that's where people have lives too.
Yes, and there's those humans going through
and counting these votes. So that's a call that they're going to listen. We're just going to pick this up tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow they'll be able to finish. But that's when we talk about the real life person. There is that realistically, these people have to go home. They have to go back to their jobs. Because these people who are counting the votes, all right, they may have another job, and this is just what they're doing during the election cycle. We got that from Jamie Dupree.
Yeah.
The other breaking news from Jamie Dupree is Doug Collins, Republican, has conceded to Kelly Loeffler. And then Kelly Loeffler is expected to face Democrat Raphael Warnock in a January 5th runoff.
Yes, so there's let's kind of go into that.
Because Georgia was an interesting.
It's starting to look like Georgia, both those races could go to a special election. Because if there is a third party in there, you do have to get 50% of the vote to advance. And so if you have a situation where you're at 49, 47, and that last third party has 4% of the vote, you're going to have to go to a runoff. Which really, it's not just where do those 4% go, it's who gets back out and goes to the polls again. Because you've got to go through and vote again. It's not like your vote automatically goes forward, and then those votes matter even more. And that's something that becomes That's
a midterm issue. That's a midterm. That's basically when you're talking about are you going to come out and vote in an election again when you just voted in this? And so expect when we talked about this in class that if the Senate seat and control of the Senate is down to Georgia.
The amount of money that's going to get poured in.
I mean, the amount, when we're talking about President Trump's victorious, he's going to spend a significant time in Georgia. If Joe Biden's victorious, he's going to spend a significant time in Georgia. Like, that is going to become the number one state. The people of the great citizens of Georgia are going to be hit with so many campaign ads.
Yes. Our campaign ad season is over.
Yes. So
Georgia's
that is a positive of this night, is that going forward, I cannot promise you about tomorrow.
No.
Because again, it takes it, but by this weekend, you will see less and less campaign commercials.
Yes,
which is key, because man, that was getting rough.
Because look, you and I both skip most commercials when we watch TV, but live football is live football, and that's what they know, and that's what they get. They pour the campaign money into. Several Senate seats have been called as well. In the meantime, it looks like Jamie Harrison has lost in South Carolina, and Lindsey Graham has gotten reelected. Similarly, in Texas, it looks like John Cornyn's getting reelected as well in Texas. So all of these things continue to look like, one, a long night if you want clear resolution. Two, it means tomorrow might not be as of intensive a day either way, because we really don't know how things will shake out. And more people will continue to go into deep dives of looking into the suburbs out. We didn't even talk about Grand Rapids, Michigan yet. Because those are the kind of areas that are going to get intense scrutiny now, looking forward of how those votes are going to get tallied.
Yeah. No, I mean, tomorrow is going to be interesting. Remember, for our kids, that you have your nice little current event that you have to do. And a lot of them, we just want the updates. We want those first three groups in each class to give us the updates on what's going on. And for some of you guys, you may not have much updates. You may just be, especially if you're dealing with your Pennsylvania, your Wisconsin, your Michigans, or even your North Carolina, which will probably go deep into the night and probably tomorrow morning. Now the question is coming when it comes to the presidency is, does Joe Biden make a speech tonight? Does President Trump make a speech tonight?
No.
Do they come out and say anything? Because there's at the White House right now, there is a party.
You know what? Let's talk about that for a
And
few
then
minutes.
Joe Biden's also has a drive-in Raleigh, not Raleigh, but Raleigh.
So speaking about norms versus laws, which we've talked about for a long time, President Trump is staying at the White House.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, presidents up for re-election do not stay at the White House. Typically, they go somewhere else so that there is not the image or the optics of campaigning from the White House.
Yeah.
President Trump has stayed at the White House, one, because that's where he did the Republican National Convention as well, but also this COVID and to try to keep a secure environment. All of these things can affect. So you ask if one of them is going to give a speech tonight. I would doubt it. But I also think, as you start to think about speeches, I think you start to look at paths. And it's 270 to win. And so what different paths do you come up to get to 270? And it's still going to come down to the Midwest, which we really don't have any hard numbers on either way.
No.
And then Arizona is going to be another one out west that is going to be massively key. So Joe Biden can still win if he wins Arizona. The special districts in Nebraska and Maine that we were just talking about, and take Pennsylvania. And so even if he loses all of the rest of those states in the South, and the other rest of the Rust Belt, if he puts that little coalition together, that will be enough. Or he just wins the Rust Belt through. That gives Joe Biden his number. On the flip side, President Trump is almost in a very similar path. If he can go through and maintain his lead in the South, maintain his lead that he is starting to pick up in Ohio, and then depending on what Pennsylvania's numbers look like, if President Trump can take Pennsylvania and maybe one or the other states, basically it's 2 out of 3 out of the Rust Belt. That's what he would need to do. And then President Trump would then come down to those special districts. If it comes down to those special districts outside of Omaha and up in Maine, we are going to be here for a while.
Very long time. No, that's just interesting looking at the map that we have. The dot equals 3,600 votes. No, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be interesting, and this is where we have to now talk about how many you vote. You count in Michigan, you count in Pennsylvania, and then also is there going to be a legal action? Well, this. And going back to with President Trump and staying at the White House, I think a lot of it also has to do with a security issue.
Yes.
A big security issue is the White House is one of the safest buildings. I mean, it probably is the safest building in the world, to be honest. And so typically what happens, they will go to a hotel. Their campaign headquarters is a lot of times in a hotel or an office building. There's a ballroom that if during a non-COVID time, there would be hundreds of people there. His supporters, his interns, everyone that works for his campaign would be in that ballroom.
Yes.
Dan Forest was having a party tonight. Roy Cooper was having a party tonight of some sort, whether that's like a party with just intimate friends, socially distanced. Dan Forest, I think, was out in Smithfield, having a social gathering. That's why. So the hotel is going to be a lot harder to secure than the White House would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure there was a bunch of reasons. Now the White House did make it very clear that because they're using the executive office as their campaign headquarters right now, where they're going to be stationed, that the campaign paid for all of it. So like the internet, the computers, all the stuff, they like foot the bill. How that looks, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how you figured out like, hey, this is 1 day of internet usage or 2 days of internet usage, but the press secretary came on and said that the campaign was picking up the check for basically using the executive branch, because that's the stuff you have to do when there is a kind of that blurring of the lines.
I think one thing that's important to bring out is, since I've had to go old school here about my folder, I've had a few texts. Is this 2016 again?
Yeah,
and not quite. Things are starting to look better and better for President Trump's reelection, but not quite, because at this time in 2016, President Trump had already taken Ohio.
Yeah,
and Ohio has predicted every single presidential winner since 1964.
That's crazy. My dad was born in 61.
Also, at this time, Florida had already been called for Donald Trump, which really cleared stuff up. And then at 11/14, North Carolina got called.
Yeah.
And so all of those things kind of right around this time period. That's how things are continuing to look a little bit more this year. And it wasn't until 1:30 a.m. That President Trump clinched Pennsylvania. And therefore, his path to 270 was almost
became super clear. I mean, I remember
this year will be different because those are going to come in tonight. At least you and I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I did just get something on Twitter that I can't remember. It's now loading because our internet's being very bad right now. No, I do remember watching in 2016, and it was the minute that they had Florida and the minute that you had Ohio, you basically saw the path was really there for President Trump.
Yes,
and it wasn't a hard path to get there.
No. He
just had to hit a couple of different states, and he was able to do that. Where now it's, again, the path is still there. It's now just, can he pick up the key votes in the key areas? Again, the battlegrounds within the battlegrounds. So can he pick up the Erie, Pennsylvania? Can he pick up the votes in Philadelphia? Can he pick up votes in Wilkinson in Pennsylvania to in order to win the election?
Yes.
Well, our internet is going worse and worse.
So thanks for joining us. Tomorrow will be a very interesting. Maybe we should just live stream class tomorrow.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. I think we should do this again.
Probably.
I think we'll do it again, at least at the midterms, and maybe even a couple of mayor elections next year.
Mayor elections.
But we'll definitely be here at the midterms. Thanks for joining us. Again, we will continue to stay up and watch things. If anybody has any questions, feel free to tweet us.
All right. See you guys.